Good morning. Good morning. It's iRadio.
Live from Juba, on air and online.
This is iRadio News.
Hello, good morning. This is iRadio News. First, here are the headlines. The government of Jonglei State has condemned a series of violent attacks by a group known as Red Belt, calling their actions brutal, unlawful, and a direct threat to public safety in Bor and surrounding areas. Authorities in Central Equatorial State have urged participants at a two-day conference for cattle herders and farmers due to conclude today in Juba to take the lead in resolving recurring conflicts over cattle migration and land use. And the Special Court on National Crimes has questioned journalists to exercise care in reporting on the high-profile case of Dr. Riek Machar and his co-accused. These stories and more coming to you in this news bulletin with me, Lasuba Memo, and now the news in detail. The government of Jonglei State has condemned a series of violent attacks by a group known as the Red Belt, calling their actions brutal, unlawful, and a direct threat to public safety in Bor and the surrounding areas. In a statement released on Monday, the government said the group is responsible for multiple incidents, including a September 7 attack on young entrepreneurs from northern Bahr el Ghazal, which left 7 wounded and properties looted. Earlier incidents include a February ambush on the National Minister of Wildlife, a July raid on a cattle camp, and a June shooting during a public event attended by Governor Riek Gai Kok and Presidential Advisor Kwal Manyang Juk. Their statement said, and I quote, "These are not isolated incidents. They are calculated acts of terror that endanger innocent lives and challenge the authority of the state," end quote. Authorities have now ordered increased security patrols, checkpoint monitoring, and search of roads and river vessels. Jonglei State authorities have urged neighboring states to assist in apprehending suspects. Meanwhile, the state government has urged Bor residents to remain calm, report suspicious activity, and resume normal business as security measures are being reinforced. Authorities in Central Equatorial State have urged participants at a two-day conference for cattle herders and farmers in Juba to take the lead in resolving recurring conflicts over cattle migration and land use. During the opening session yesterday, Governor Rabi Mujung Emmanuel called on the more than 80 participants to develop enforceable mechanisms to regulate cattle movement, strengthen community-based conflict resolutions led by chiefs, youth and women, and promote reconciliation in affected areas. The conference aims to create local strategies for peaceful coexistence between farmers and pastoralists, particularly in the regions frequently affected by seasonal migration and resource disputes. Other leaders, including State Minister of Peace Building Jacob Aligo and Archbishop Dr. Paul Benjamin Yugusuk, also appealed to the delegates to engage in respectful, solution-focused dialogue and to treat land and livestock as shared resources for peace, not conflict. Organized by the Community Empowerment for Progress organization with support from the International Migration Organization for Migration and its partners, the event will continue through today with outcomes expected to inform state-level peace building and rural governance efforts. The Special Court for National Crimes has cautioned journalists to exercise care in reporting on the high-profile case of Dr. Riek Machar and his co-accused. During the fourth session of the hearings held yesterday, presiding Judge James Alala reminded journalists to adhere strictly to professional standards and avoid analyzing or interpreting the facts of the proceedings. He stressed that reporters granted access to the courtroom must not add personal opinions into their coverage. The judge reiterated that while the media has the right to cover the trial, reporting must remain factual and impartial. Last week, Judge Alala reaffirmed his commitment to free media and public openness regarding the proceedings following earlier restrictions that had limited coverage to the state-run broadcaster. While journalists have since been allowed to freely cover the last two sessions, they have been repeatedly cautioned to uphold professional ethics and comply with the law. This is iRadio Morning News, and now to the international scene. Madagascar's president has said he will dissolve his government following days of youth-led protest over long-standing water and power cuts. Andre Rajoelina was cited as saying on a televised national address on Monday that his government acknowledged and apologized if members of the government had not carried out the task assigned to them. The so-called Gen Z protests have been seen thousands of predominantly young demonstrators take to the streets in cities across the Madagascar since Thursday last week under the rallying cry, "We want to live, not survive." The UN's human rights chief condemned the unnecessary force used by security forces to quell the unrest, saying that at least 22 people have been killed and 100 others injured. Finally, European and Middle Eastern leaders have welcomed a new U.S. peace plan for Gaza as President Donald Trump warned Hamas to accept it. The plan, agreed by Trump and Israeli leader Benjamin Netanyahu, proposes an immediate end to military operations, with Hamas releasing 20 living Israeli hostages and the remains of more than 2,000 hostages who were believed to be dead within 72 hours in exchange for hundreds of detained Gazans. A Palestinian source familiar with the ceasefire negotiations told the BBC that Hamas officials have been given the White House 20-point plan. It demands that Hamas will have no role in governing Gaza and leaves the door open for an eventual Palestinian state. This is iRadio Morning News, and to end this bulletin, here's a recap of the headlines. The government of Jonglei State has condemned a series of violent attacks by a group known as the Red Belt, calling their actions brutal, unlawful, and a direct threat to public safety in Bor and the surrounding areas. Authorities in Central Equatorial State have urged participants at the two-day conference for cattle herders and farmers due to conclude today in Juba to take the lead in resolving recurring conflicts over cattle migration and land use. And the Special Court for National Crimes has cautioned journalists to exercise care in reporting on the high-profile case of Dr. Riek Machar and his co-accused. That's the end of iRadio Morning News. If there is a story or an event you'd like iRadio to cover or report about, please send us a text message at +211 925 287870. It's also a WhatsApp number. Follow us on X at iRadio Juba. Like our Facebook page, iRadio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at iRadio South Sudan. You can also visit our website and listen to us online at www.iradio.org. Stay tuned for news in Arabic at the top of the hour. I am Lasuba Memo. Thanks for listening.